Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And today's special guest is Danielle. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, happy to have you. So can you tell us where you're tuning in from?
I'm currently in Hugo, Minnesota.
Oh, nice. And we were talking of the weather, of how cold it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm originally from California, and this is where my boyfriend lives. So we're up here staying with his family,
Mhm.
and it's definitely very much more colder than what I'm used to. Like it snowed on Halloween, and I have never had snow on Halloween before.
Yeah, big difference. We got some snow here yesterday. Just staying warm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So to start, Danielle, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, I am currently the co-founder of a nonprofit called Peace for Warriors, and this organization helps veterans with PTSD, and we want to help them kind of find a new sense of purpose, fall back in love with the world again after they get out, and we want to do that by taking them on volunteer trips abroad.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of how I got into all of that. So I had a lot of anxiety growing up. I was always worried about what other people think, comparisonitis, thinking I was unworthy, not good enough. But I found myself by traveling abroad and doing volunteer work. I started volunteering at the age of 19. I've volunteered in 14 different countries, and I finally was able to discover who I was, what I wanted to do. I didn't have to worry about what anyone else was
Mhm.
doing or worried about while I was volunteering.
Mhm.
And over the from 2015 to now, I just continue to travel. But I wanted to find a way to take people on volunteer trips with me because I wanted them to kind of step out of their comfort zone, discover themselves, uh, feel that rewarding
Mhm.
feeling that you get when giving back to someone and also experiencing the new cultures. But I
Mhm.
never knew how to do that until 2020 comes around and I met this Marine. He randomly messaged me online just saying, "Hey, I'm looking to meet people in the area. Do you want to have dinner?" I was like, "Sure.
Oh.
Okay. I mean,
Oh.
complete stranger, but sure, let's go out." And he was a Marine and he was just about to retire from the Marine Corps after being in for 20 years.
Mhm.
And his thing was he wasn't sure what he wanted to do when he gets out, but he knew he wanted to help veterans with PTSD. And on that first date, we were kind of joking, and then um, we were like, well, it would be cool if we took veterans on volunteer projects all over the world because I know how rewarding that is. And you know, the veteran community,
Mhm.
that would be a fun idea. And we kind of kicked it around, joked with it for a little bit. But after a couple of months,
Mhm.
kind of realized this guy was the real deal. And it's been a year and a half since that first date. And
Mhm.
we're still in the beginning stages, but our um, we have big visions, big goals, but essentially we want to help these veterans kind of transition back into civilian life just a little bit easier, find a new sense of purpose, give themselves a little bit more of a structure, a little bit empowerment
Mhm.
for once they go back home and kind of back into civilian life.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That is so cool that you guys are doing that and how you met also. There are some good stuff when it comes to social media. It's not always bad, but that's so inspiring that you both connected and combine your vision and you're making it happen. That's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing. So do
Yeah,
you
thank
have,
you.
yeah, you're welcome. Do you have veterans in your family, or is it just something you wanted to do?
So my grandfather was actually he is a veteran. He was in the Navy and the Marine Corps. So growing up, I always had respect for the military, but I didn't grow up in a military household. So I
Mhm.
didn't fully understand what it all meant to be in the military or in a family of military. And since meeting Dan, my boyfriend's name is Dan, so Dan and Danny, easy to remember. um, I have definitely been learning a lot. I know it's, I know I will never know anything. I know I will never know the full picture,
Mhm.
but throughout my journey, I did so much personal development type of work on myself. I know that it can be applied to anybody if they're willing.
Mhm.
And the through this method of giving back and giving service, but also being in a different country, I think it will um, have a
Mm.
very big impact for these guys,
Yeah.
since a lot of the people in military, like my boyfriend, he enlisted at 17,
Mhm.
and all of the traveling that he did was with the military on deployments. So he has never really traveled much
Mhm.
as a civilian. And so giving these veterans an opportunity to travel without having a gun in their hand, we think will help kind of remap the trauma in their brains and just kind of help them with moving forward in life.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. When you travel, what do you feel? Is it peace, freedom, fulfillment?
Oh, um, all of that excitement. I it's interesting because sometimes, like when I had my really bad anxiety, I was actually living up in Canada, um, and I was just so unsure of myself, and I didn't like the jobs I was working. I eventually started I got an online teaching job,
Mhm.
and then I started looking at digital marketing. So I had a stay-at-home job,
Yeah.
and that it actually made my anxiety become worse. I was too afraid to go outside. For a good 2 months, I was afraid to leave my apartment by myself.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I was in that state, when I would think about traveling, I had done traveling before already, but I would just, it would not excite me. I would always be worried about what other people thought of me.
Mhm.
But the second I started actually making the plans to travel, so right after I moved home from Canada was when I really wanted to travel by myself and start finding my own volunteer missions.
Mhm.
Um, I would just get so excited. And there, of course, definitely would be fear leading up to the trip. But the second I would get there, I would feel incredible empowerment because it's like, okay, I'm here. I have to make the best of it. I can't really turn around now unless I pay a lot of money for another plane ticket. Um, and I would have no choice but to move forward. And and so then I would just let myself lean into it, and empowerment would be the word that I would say. But it's only once you get to the location. Leading up to it, of course, there's a lot of like, oh my gosh, what if.
Yeah.
um but once you get to the location that you want to go to, or you're on the trip, it's like,
Mhm.
I'm here, let's love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And thank you for talking about anxiety and how it feels. I have anxiety and I still feel the same way. Like I don't know how to describe it. I get choked up. When I have to
Hmm.
go out, it's like I'm gonna get murdered or something bad's gonna happen when really nothing's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Yeah, yeah. So many people
Yeah.
struggle with anxiety and they don't really openly always talk about it. What would you say to
Yeah.
those people who are struggling?
Yeah, it's definitely hard, something to work through for sure. I still struggle with it, but
Mm,
now that I know what I've done, I'm
mhm,
able to approach it better. Um, the thing that gave me the anxiety was worrying about what other people would think, like even going out. But so I kind of just realized I would kind of force myself to sit in the anxiety,
mhm,
and sometimes it would be super hard, other times it would be easy, and I would just have to kind of tell myself, do you want to stay in this, or do you want to move out of it?
mhm,
And what helped me would just kind of sit by myself, do some breathing, and we have the ability to shift our states. It's just a matter of if we want to do it. So
mhm,
the accepting of whether you want to be in the state or not is always was the first step for me. Um, and it always comes back. You just have to train your brain
yeah.
to recognize it faster and allow yourself to move away from it, and try not to give it your energy. Once you give your anxiety your energy, it can just take hold of you. And yeah, I feel it all in my throat. And it's just like, you just have to, we are so capable of releasing anything we want. But it's not easy, but we are all capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that's what I would say to people who are working through it. Allow yourself to sit with it, recognize it,
Mm-hmm.
but also give yourself the power, because you totally can give yourself the power. Give yourself the power to move away from it, to release it, however you want to detach yourself from it.
Yeah,
There.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about trauma. Have you
Hmm.
endured some trauma, or is there anything you'd like to touch on when it comes to traumas with soldiers and those in the military?
Personally, I have had trauma. Yes. My biggest thing was when I was 8 years old. I was in a car accident with my friend, and she ended up dying in the car accident. She was
Mm.
right next to me.
Oh, wow.
That it was a big thing to be there to witness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when if you have a kid that's 6, 7, or 8 years old and have a traumatic experience, it's those experiences that really, like, at that age, it's very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
um I always had the mindset of, well, not always, like sometimes it can get away from me. But
Yeah.
even at 8 years old, when that happened, as hard as it was, I remember thinking, okay, this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
How can I move forward from it? And
Mm-hmm.
it was never easy, but that was seeing my mom. My mom is so strong. She was the one that was driving, and it was a truck that hit us.
Oh.
But seeing my mom go through it all, and I have three other brothers. Two of my brothers were in the car as well, but my friend was the only one that passed. And so my mom had to go through a lot of court issues. She was being sued by my friend's family, and um, my mom never let me see how much she was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, from a young age, I kind of was just like, you know, as much as we want to go back, we just have to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
try to look at it in a way that it can make us stronger,
Yeah.
um, and try to help that shape who we are in the best way possible. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
trauma in any form is difficult.
Yeah.
And especially since with what I'm doing now, we're working with veterans. And
Mm-hmm.
my boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
he's been in the military 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on 6 or 7 deployments. I don't even know the number.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been all over for other trainings as well. And he's been through a lot. And me, just, I have to, I can't force him to tell me any of his stories. I just have to be there to listen,
Mm-hmm.
because I know I will never fully understand what he's gone through and what he's holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to always have that mindset when working with these guys, and women too, of course, but guys,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to be patient. I have to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
because trauma can affect us in so many different ways. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel grateful for I'm not grateful for my trauma, but I am grateful at how I was able to look at my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I know so many people have it worse. Um, but
Yeah.
I know I can be positive. Sometimes my positive can be overbearing, but I've come to believe the statement that everything that happens to me is meant to make me stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hard thing to believe, but if I just choose to look at it that way, I'm able to kind of overcome a lot more and just look at things from a stronger perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is a very hard trauma to go through. And especially we're so young. It's like, how do you move on without,
Hmm.
suffocating with pain and guilt and shame and just what your mom had to go through? That's the power of motherhood. We go through hell and back, and yet we are smiling and we're carrying so much that not everyone can see what we're carrying, and it's painful. I'm a mother. I don't
Hmm.
know if you're a mother as well, but yeah, not yet.
Uh, my boyfriend does have a 5-year-old son, so
Oh, cute.
things are looking optimistic. So I'll be a stepmom eventually.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
I would love to have my own children eventually too. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Can you walk me through the process of grieving that you had to go through and how you healed and moved from that. I don't know, then you did you journal, music, painting, you dance, scream? What did you do?
I was in dance from 6 years old, so I've always just loved
Wow.
dancing. And as I got older, I got into yoga too. So stretching really helped me get out of my head and into my body.
Mhm.
Um, I really got into yoga when I was in Canada, when I got into my lowest of anxiety, and that was what it really got me out of my head. So moving my body, I did journal, and I like journaling. I have a journal, but it also added a little bit of stress because I felt like I had to journal. But I did like writing down my story, so I do it, but only maybe once a month. So that definitely helps. But I didn't really rely on that as
Mhm.
a way to work through what I needed to work through.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, my biggest thing was moving, dancing, stretching.
Yeah, that's
um,
awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. What would you and your partner would like to see different when it comes to how the government or people that are in leadership positions when it comes to veterans? Is there enough
mm.
support, enough advocacy, enough healing stuff like trauma centers? What are your thoughts?
So there are so many amazing organizations, programs, things that are available to veterans
Mhm.
and active military too. Um, but even if there's amazing things out there, the veteran suicide rate has not changed in the last 2 decades. And that number is 22 suicides a day. Um, and a lot of the reason, obviously, if you're in the military, you have a certain structure, upbringing, suck it up
Mhm.
type of vibrato about you. You got to work through the pain. So a lot of these people are very prideful and they don't want to seek help. Um, so that's kind of another reason why we want to create this organization. We're hoping that giving them another option, like I said, that perhaps they haven't done a lot of traveling, giving them a chance to travel and feel safe,
Mhm.
but also through service, give back and put a smile on a kid's face,
Mhm.
can help them in other ways other than, taking a bunch of medicine or getting a service dog. As wonderful as service dogs are,
Mhm.
it kind of the the veteran can sometimes cut off the outside world and give all the attention to the dog, which can help. Absolutely, it's great for some people. But what we're doing kind of opens people up more.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is a matter of people asking and looking for help. Um, and that's why we're making our project the way it is. We're just hoping that this approach will kind of excite some of the people that haven't sought for help yet.
Mhm.
And what we want to do with our trips is we're planning our first trip this March, and we're going to the Philippines.
Oh,
We already have a village. We have a location already. We've already spoken to our contact, the teacher of the school there, and so we're gonna be going to that location and developing it as much as we can over the next few years. Our goal is to go to this village twice a year, if not more.
mhm.
The first trip in March is just going to be a short 2 week trip. And we're going to take 6 people, myself, Dan, two others who are on the board of directors with us, who was a Marine, and the other one is getting her doctorate in psychology, and she's writing her dissertation on this, and
Mhm.
then two actual veteran volunteers.
Mhm.
Um, so we're going to see
Yeah.
how it will work if we brought more people. We'd like to bring 10 to 15 people in the future on these trips.
Mhm.
How would we feed them? How would we house them? If we brought larger numbers, what could we actually give of service to you guys?
Mhm.
So the first trip, we'll be planning it out, but we want to plan and structure these trips
Mhm.
so it's like a deployment cycle to give these veterans a familiar structure
Mhm.
So they have a morning briefing and an evening debriefing, and pre-deployment workup, so they know what duties they have to do before they go on the trips. And so it gives them a sense of familiarity, but instead of deploying to a combat zone, they are deploying to a village in a new, safer environment and bringing a smile to a family. So in hoping that that would help them work through past experience going on deployment, being in a safer environment, being allowing them to work through the pain, but
Mhm.
also hopefully finding a new sense of purpose in them,
Mhm.
and hoping that they'll be able to go back home and just work through life in
Mhm.
a more relaxed manner.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Do you have some success stories, or this is your very first trip?
So this is our first trip. We've been an official nonprofit since January 2023. This
Mhm.
year has just been planning and fundraising. But Dan, the night that I met him, he was actually telling me this story, and this was what sparked the whole idea.
Mhm.
Um, he's done he did one deployment to West Africa,
Mhm.
and he went there by himself. It was just to work with the local military there in a really small village. And he was there for 9 months. And while he was there, he obviously had a lot of free time. So he ended up doing a lot of volunteer work. And he actually took money out of his own bank account and helped them build a school. And they, he doesn't like telling people this, but they actually named the school after him. And at the end of the deployment, they had a huge celebration for him and adopted him into the tribe. They gave him an African name and completely accepted him as family.
Mhm.
And that was the story that he was telling me. And it's obviously the highlight of his 20-year career. He knows how rewarding it was to give back.
Mhm.
And he himself has been to the point where he has contemplated suicide.
Mhm.
And not just that Africa trip, but family too. They were the reason that pulled him back.
Yeah.
And and yeah, so when he looks back on his experience, the Africa trip is what kind of brings him from the brink of his own PTSD, his own anxiety.
Mhm.
So that is the main testimonial that we have. And when he told me that story, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to take veterans on volunteer missions,
Yeah.
because he was able to grasp the idea of
Mhm.
physically building a school and seeing the impact it can make on a village.
Mhm.
And me, I didn't do a lot of building schools when I did volunteer work, but I did teaching English. I worked on farms. I worked on yoga retreats and everything. And I did a lot of singing and dancing with kids too. And, but so I understand how rewarding it can feel, but I've never
Mhm.
built anything with my hands other than a little bit on the farm.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited to do more of the little bit more physical labor type of work.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's already able to grasp the idea. So that's our one success story. And he personally wants to give more veterans that same type of feeling. So that's why we picked building schools or digging wells as the main focus of the type of service.
Mhm. Wow, that is the best service ever because you're changing lives and you're healing hearts and you're giving people hope. What you guys are doing is truly admiring. So I thank you. Let's say you could talk to who's the president of the States, Joe Biden. Let's say you could talk to
Yeah.
him. How would you pitch what you're doing to him so he could fund and help your program?
Oh gosh. Um, well, I mean, I would first ask him, do you believe that we need more do you know what the veteran suicide rate is? Do you
Mhm.
want to make more of an impact in helping that number reduce?
Mhm.
Yes, I
Mhm.
have an idea for you. Taking veterans on volunteer trips abroad. What do you think?
Mhm.
Yes. can you get me in contact with people who can actually make this happen so we can get some government funding?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
I would keep it really short and sweet because
Mhm.
he would just know the people who can help me get to where I need to go.
Yeah.
Like right now we've just been doing fundraisers and donations, but we have contacts at the VA, and they are pretty much telling us if you just get a couple of trips under your belt, show us a proof source of how it works, how you want to do the trips, then we can apply for government grants and get funding. And we are looking at corporate sponsorships for people who want to sponsor us year round.
Mhm.
But it's just a matter of getting on these trips and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Um,
really cool.
so yeah, that's kind of how I'd pitch him. If I could have, 2 minutes of his time
Yeah.
and he's willing to pass the information along and get me some contacts, oh baby, I could we
You
could
never
we could
know.
get that suicide rate to zero.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I hope that happens. You never know who's watching, right? That's really cool. So do you guys have do you guys have a website, or how do you structure and release information?
Yes, we have a website. It's www.peaceforwarriors.org, but it's peace with the number 4
Oh,
warriors.org. And then on social media, it's
mhm.
all spelled out, peace, FOR, for warriors dot not dot, but peace for warriors, all spelled out, one
Yeah,
word,
yeah.
on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. um, the main source of updates that we send out, we have a newsletter. So if you go on our website, you can sign up for a newsletter, and we send out updates maybe every month, every other month, depending on what types of progress we've made. So we will never blast people's email. And also
Yeah.
on our website, we have a form that people can fill out if they want to get involved, whether it's just they have contacts that they want us to get in contact with, they want to donate, they want to volunteer overseas with us, or we are making an ambassador program too. So there's a form on the site. You can fill it out. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you want to do,
Mhm.
that can help us, and we will respond to every single form application.
That's awesome. So are you gonna be documenting this trip, like through video, audio? How would you share
Oh
it with
yeah.
those who are helping?
Yeah, so I got really into digital marketing and everything. I used to help other businesses grow Facebook and Instagram pages, and I used to help them do all of that. So now I am the marketing director of Peace for Warriors. So
Wow.
you bet I'm going to be walking around with that video camera.
Yeah, yeah.
My hope is to do like a daily vlog, like it could be just a quick check-in or just like
Mhm.
random video clips while we're on these trips. And yeah, it'll be blasted on our social medias, but we'll also be sending out videos and clips on the newsletter too.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. That's really cool. I'm just speechless. That's really awesome. Is there
Thank you.
anything else? You're welcome. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you'd like to touch on and share with us?
Um, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Like, that's
Mm.
my anxiety right there. You
Oh,
kind
no,
of
it's
just forget
okay.
everything that you say.
Yeah, don't worry.
um,
I'm having a severe panic attack. You just can't tell. So it's all good. Take your
Oh
time.
yeah,
This is for
my
you.
face is all red and blotchy.
Yeah,
But no,
all
this has
good.
been wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, I am very grateful that you allowed me to come into your space to simply share what we're doing. It's a very new concept, and I am just hoping to connect with anyone out there that is looking for something like this, or that knows people that can connect us. We're just spreading the word right now, and we are very optimistic about where we're heading,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
we hope that people can kind of join us and watch our journey or come along with us on our journeys. And
yeah,
yeah, I would
that's
love to come
awesome.
back on and tell you about our first trip once we
Yes,
complete
yes,
that in
yes,
March.
please. Yes,
So
yes.
that would be fun.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love
No,
that.
thank
Yeah.
you. This is great.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys are changing the world one step at a time, right? Baby steps, because you don't know where your organization is going to be tomorrow. And yeah, you do marketing. I'm the opposite of market. I don't do that stuff. I get by with releasing and recording, and that's it. But
Well,
yeah,
you
that's
seem to be
awesome.
doing well.
Yeah, it's going okay. I mean, I've been saying for the past year I should build a website, but I started and I just don't finish. I don't know. I'll get to it eventually. I
You
have
will.
one question for you before I let you go. What is the meaning of life for you?
Mm. The meaning of life. It's, well, the first thing that popped into my head was um, not leaving a legacy, but leaving a type of mindset that um, that people will know. Oh, wow, it's hard to put in words. Just bringing peace of mind
Mhm,
to people, spreading the idea of allowing yourself to be in a safe space.
mhm,
Um, yeah, it's just spreading that mindset, that ideology of being relaxed
mhm.
but still enthusiastic, but like your nerves are relaxed. And
Yeah.
um
Mhm,
yeah, through like and through service, feeling the rewarding fact. Like, I just, when you first asked it, I remembered the kids smiling that I
mhm,
was singing and dancing with. I did a lot. I helped kids do a lot of singing and dancing to help them get out of their comfort zone. It was a specific organization that I was with, and we were just there to get these kids to try new things. And
mhm.
um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
being able to do that is the most meaningful thing in
Mhm.
my
Yeah,
life.
that's awesome. That's really cool. And a last question I always ask is, where can my listeners find you? I think you already shared that. And they can donate
Oh.
or go on your website.
Yes. So peaceforwarriors.org with the number 4, or on Facebook and Instagram, Peace for Warriors spelled out whole. My personal Instagram is Danielle.B.Bare. Um, you can message me on there or on the Peace for Warriors account. It's gonna be me, either way. um,
Yeah.
Dan, the other co-founder, Dan is the president. I'm the vice president.
Mhm.
But we both have access to the uh, accounts. So we will see every message. Both of us will. We also have an email, peaceforwarriors@gmail.com.
Awesome.
So
Mhm.
any way you can reach out to us, it will be going to either Dan and I or I. And yeah, we would love to hear from anyone, even if it's just a good job. I heard your podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for what you and your partner is doing. It's truly admirable, inspiring, and I've had such a amazing conversation with you just to get to know you and what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You're welcome.